Do you know what the real difference is between a man who is truly interested in you and one who is just entertaining you? After years of observing and listening to the stories of many women who have gone through divorces, painful breakups and new beginnings, I have identified 5 signs that never lie when it comes to recognizing that a man is not serious about you. And most importantly, these signs are based on his actions, not his words. If you are already in that phase of life where you value your time and emotional energy, this video will be very eye-opening for you. Because one thing is clear, we no longer have time to waste on men who don't know what they want or who are playing a double game. The first sign you need to recognize is when he communicates only lukewarmly and sporadically. I will be very specific here because this is a trap many women fall into, especially when they re-enter the dating world after a long relationship. This type of man shows up from time to time, usually via text message or WhatsApp, with those generic lines we all know. "Hi, just wanted to see how you're doing," or "How was your day?" At first, this might seem sweet or attentive, but in reality, here's what is happening. He is keeping the contact at a minimum, just so he doesn't lose you completely. But he isn't really investing in getting to know you genuinely. And here is the crucial point. The communication doesn't progress. It stays superficial. There are no deeper conversations, no calls, no video calls. If you suggest talking on the phone, he will probably say that he doesn't like talking on the phone or prefers texting. That is an excuse. And you, with your experience in relationships, can recognize an excuse immediately. A man who is truly interested wants to hear your voice. He will find ways to deepen the connection. He will genuinely care about your day, not just out of politeness. He will remember things you've told him and follow up on them. But many women don't understand this. If you accept this lukewarm communication pattern, you are showing him that it is okay to treat you superficially. And believe me, if he was serious, he wouldn't be satisfied with occasional small talk every few days. The second sign you should never ignore: he is still attached to his ex. And here I will be very direct, because I have seen too many wonderful women break because of this, women who deserved better. If he still keeps in touch with his ex without a clear and justified reason, that tells you everything you need to know about his emotional availability. If they have children together, it is natural and necessary to stay in contact. That is responsibility and maturity. But if there are no children involved and he is still regularly texting her, making small talk or keeping up with her life, then he has not closed that chapter. Even more painful is when he distances himself from you because he thinks he is protecting you from potential pain if he decides to go back to her. This is one of the cruelest excuses because it means he has not decided what he wants. And in the meantime, you are stuck in an emotional waiting room. You need to understand one thing clearly. You do not need to compare or compete with any ex. If a man is unsure whether he wants to be with you or with his ex, that is neither fair to you, nor is it the kind of energy you need in your life. You, who may have gone through a divorce or a deep breakup yourself, know how valuable your heart and your time are. A man who is ready for a real relationship will close the doors to the past completely. He will not leave you in a situation where you feel like second choice or have to fight for attention. The third sign is when he keeps cancelling on you. And this is something that many mature women tolerate out of fear. Fear of seeming too demanding or of losing him. He makes plans with you but then cancels at the last minute with excuses like, "I couldn't finish work, let's reschedule," or "Something came up with family, I'll let you know when I can." The first time, you give him the benefit of the doubt because you know life can be unpredictable. The second time, you already feel uneasy, but you still give him another chance. But here's what you need to know. If this happens constantly, it is not a streak of bad luck, it is a sign of lack of respect for your time, and a clear indication that you are not a priority for him. What's even worse, if you passively accept these last-minute cancellations, he interprets that as a green light to keep doing it, with no consequences. You, with all your life experience, know how valuable your free time is. You might coordinate your calendar, adjust to your children, cancel other plans, or simply reserve time just for him. And he treats that as something trivial. A man who is serious respects your plans together. If he truly has to cancel because of a real emergency, he will sincerely apologize and immediately suggest a specific new date. He will not leave you hanging with a vague, "we'll talk later." If he cancels twice in a row without really trying to set a new date with a specific day and time, then he is not genuinely interested in investing in your connection. The fourth sign you need to recognize is you don't exist for his family. And this is particularly telling. A man who can see a serious future with you will want to integrate you into his life, not just when it suits him. A man who is not serious, never talks about his family, never introduces you to anyone important, and consciously avoids any situation where your worlds could merge. You won't be invited to family gatherings, not to meet friends, and if someone from his circle does show up, he will introduce you vaguely and without context. What is really happening is this: he does not want to build emotional bonds between you and the people close to him because he does not plan to keep you in his life permanently. It is easier for him to keep the relationship in a bubble he can control without giving you too much access to his real life. Of course, there are legitimate exceptions. If his family situation is difficult, for example, sick parents or serious family conflicts, it is understandable that he might want to protect you from that burden at first. But a mature man who is truly interested will explain the situation to you, not just exclude you in silence. Time is also an important factor. If you have been together for weeks or even months, and you are still a secret to the people in his life, that tells you everything you need to know about his intentions. Think about it this way. When you are excited about a new connection, when you feel that something special is developing, you want to share it. You want your close friends to know about it. You might even mention it to your family, because happiness naturally wants to be shared. A man who seriously wants to build something with you will feel exactly the same. He will want the people who matter to him to meet you, because you are a source of joy in his life. The fifth and final sign is perhaps the most subtle, but also the clearest. He keeps his heart completely closed. After weeks or even months of dating, he doesn't share real feelings, he shows no vulnerability, he doesn't talk about fears, dreams, or things that truly matter to him. All conversations remain on the surface about work, the weather, TV shows, maybe even sexual experiences, but never about the things that make up his true inner world. He doesn't talk about insecurities, he doesn't share meaningful stories from his past, and he never lets you see his complex or imperfect sides. For mature women, this is particularly frustrating because you know that real relationships are built on trust, vulnerability, and honest emotional exchange. You have experienced enough to know that physical attraction and superficial harmony are not enough to sustain a relationship in the long run. A man who is emotionally available and wants a serious relationship will gradually open up. He will confide his worries to you, seek your advice on important life matters, and show you his imperfect sides as well, because he knows you will respond with compassion. But if a man keeps all conversations on safe, superficial ground, it is a sign that he doesn't want to build emotional intimacy, because he knows that such closeness would lead to a deeper bond. And that is exactly what he is avoiding, by never letting you truly see who he really is. And now comes what I want you to truly understand about all these signs. These are not character flaws that you can fix with enough patience, understanding, or love. These are conscious decisions he is making, decisions about how much he is willing to invest in your connection. And this is where many women, especially those who have been through painful divorces or breakups, make a crucial mistake. They try to convince themselves that they can change the situation by being better, more understanding, more attractive, or more available. Listen to me carefully. It is not your job to convince a man that you are worthy. Your worth is not up for debate. If he does not recognize how extraordinary you are, if he is not willing to put in the effort that you deserve, then that is his lack, not yours. It is incredibly liberating to accept this truth. When you recognize these signs for what they are, clear indicators that he is not ready for what you want, you can make decisions from your inner strength, not from desperate hope. I have seen too many great women lose themselves in situations where they invested 100% of their emotional energy into men who maybe gave back 30% at best. Women who had so much to give, who had worked on themselves, who had overcome their own challenges, and who deserved to be fully appreciated. The problem is, when you are in the middle of the situation, especially if you feel a strong connection to him, it is very hard to see these signs objectively. Your heart wants to believe that everything will change, that he will realize how special you are, that he just needs a bit more time. But here is the reality. A man who truly wants to be with you will not leave you in uncertainty. You will not constantly have to guess what he feels or what his intentions are. His interest will show through consistent actions. He will respond to your messages promptly because he enjoys talking to you. He will make plans and keep them because he values his time with you. He will gradually include you in his life because he wants you to be part of it. And he will open up to you emotionally because he wants you to truly know him. These are not unrealistic expectations. These are the basic standards for a healthy relationship between two mature adults who genuinely care about each other. I know it can be painful to realize that you are in a situation where he is not as invested as you are, especially if you have already developed deep feelings or have been hoping for a long time that things will change. But think about it this way. Every day you spend in a connection that does not give you what you truly want and deserve is a lost day in which you could have met a man who wants to offer you real love and true commitment. You who have already experienced so much, perhaps raised children, overcome professional and personal challenges, you know how quickly time passes. You know how precious it is to find a true connection with someone. Why should you settle for less than what your heart desires? There are men out there, mature, emotionally available men, who are looking for exactly what you have to give. Men who will appreciate your experience, your wisdom, your strength, and everything that makes you unique. But you will not be open to recognizing and receiving this kind of love if you are still trapped in a situation that is draining you emotionally. So what should you do if you recognize all these signs in your current situation? First, allow yourself to feel any disappointment or sadness that comes up. It is human to feel sad when you realize that something you hoped for is not turning out the way you wanted. But don't stay stuck in these feelings. Use them as fuel to make decisions that align with what you truly want in your life. If he is lukewarm in his communication, stop being the only one who initiates conversations. Observe what happens when you no longer take full responsibility for maintaining the contact. If he is truly interested, he will notice the difference and will put in more effort to strengthen the connection in a more consistent and genuine way. If he is still entangled in his past with his ex, then have an open conversation about where the two of you stand. Don't approach him accusingly, but make it clear that you need to know if he is emotionally available to build something serious with you. His answer will tell you everything you need to know. If he keeps cancelling on you, then set natural consequences. Next time he cancels plans, do not accept vague statements like, "We'll see later." Tell him, "When you're ready to make concrete plans, let me know. Until then, I'll make my own plans." If he doesn't include you in his broader life, address it directly. It is completely okay to say, "I've noticed that our relationship feels very separate from the rest of your life. I'm wondering if this is just temporary or if you want to keep it that way intentionally." And if he remains emotionally closed off, then show the type of vulnerability you wish to receive. Share something personal about yourself and observe how he reacts. If he does not respond with his own openness or feels uncomfortable with your vulnerability, that clearly shows he is not ready to give you the emotional closeness you seek. But here comes the most important part. Do not make it your project to change his behavior. You are not his therapist, not his relationship coach, not his mentor for personal growth. You are a great woman who deserves to be loved and appreciated exactly as you are. If he does not change after honest and clear communication, you have all the information you need to decide whether this relationship serves your emotional well-being. Remember, walking away from a situation that does not nourish you is not giving up. It is an act of self-love and respect for your own worth. It means recognizing that you deserve more than what he is currently giving or able to give you. Yes, it can be scary. The thought of starting over, especially when you feel like your options decrease with age, can be discouraging. But the reality is, there are many mature and valuable men out there who are looking for exactly what you have to offer: experience, wisdom, emotional maturity, and the ability to love deeply and authentically. The key is to not settle for less just because you are afraid of being alone. Temporary loneliness is still better than being in a relationship where you mostly feel alone. If you value yourself enough to set the standard you desire, you will automatically attract men who are on the same level of emotional maturity. So my final advice to you is this: trust your intuition. If something feels wrong, it probably is. If you constantly have to wonder where you stand with him, if you have to analyze every message, if you have to make excuses for his behavior in front of others, then you already have your answer. You deserve a love that is clear, consistent, and generous. You deserve a man who is proud to be with you, who includes you in his life, who communicates openly and honestly with you, and who invests in your relationship just as much as you do. This is not too much to ask. This is not unrealistic. This is exactly what happens when two emotionally mature adults meet and consciously choose to build something together. Trust in your worth, respect your time, and do not be afraid to move on if what you have does not match what you deserve. Do not settle for breadcrumbs of attention when you are worth an entire feast of love and devotion. And finally, I want to address something I observe over and over again. Many mature women, especially those who have gone through long or difficult relationships, develop what I call the overgratitude syndrome. What does this mean? It means that after all the pain, arguments, and struggles, they meet a man who is simply decent. He doesn't yell, he isn't aggressive, he has a stable job. And suddenly they feel so grateful for this normality that they start lowering all their other standards. So, if he communicates only lukewarmly, you might tell yourself, at least he's not controlling like my ex. If he cancels plans, you think, well, at least he's not cheating on me. If he doesn't include you in his family life, you rationalize, at least he treats me with basic respect. But here is the problem. You are comparing downwards instead of upwards. You take your worst experiences from the past as a minimum standard, when you should actually take your dreams and legitimate desires as your goal. Just because a man is not violent, manipulative, or completely irresponsible does not automatically make him a good partner. These are basic requirements for human decency, not extraordinary qualities for which you should feel eternally grateful. You, who have lived, who may have raised children alone or rebuilt your life after a severe loss, you have so much more to offer than to simply feel grateful that a man gives you the absolute minimum effort. Now, I want to talk about something that is often overlooked but crucial: the difference between a man who is truly busy and one who simply does not prioritize you. A truly busy man will communicate his situation to you. He will say, "This week is crazy at work, but I'm thinking of you, and on Friday I have time to talk to you properly." He keeps you updated because he doesn't want you to interpret his temporary absence as disinterest. A man who does not prioritize you disappears without explanation and shows up when it suits him, and expects you to be emotionally available as if nothing happened. The difference lies in active communication and the effort to maintain the connection even under challenging circumstances. I also want to address something that is especially relevant for women your age: the societal or family pressure not to be too picky, or the idea that men our age all come with baggage. Perhaps you have friends who mean well and say, "At least he doesn't still live with his mother," or "All the good men our age are already taken," or "At our age, you can't expect Hollywood romance." These statements, however well-intentioned they may be, can be incredibly damaging. They program you to settle for less. They make you feel like having high standards is unrealistic or selfish. But here is the truth you need to hear. Having standards does not make you difficult or dissatisfied. It makes you someone who values herself enough not to settle for half measures. Yes, we all come with experiences, emotional scars, past stories. That is part of being human. But there is a huge difference between a man who has processed his past and one who uses it as an excuse not to commit today. An emotionally mature man acknowledges his emotional baggage, but he does not let it dictate how he acts in the present. He works on himself because he truly wants to be present with you. Now we need to talk about something crucial, the difference between patience and excessive tolerance. Patience means giving the relationship time to develop organically with respect for both sides' pace. Tolerance means accepting behaviors that fundamentally violate your needs and self-worth. It is patience to give a shy man time to open up. It is tolerance to accept that even after months, he shares nothing personal. It is patience to understand that he wants to go slowly after a divorce. It is tolerance if he permanently uses his divorce as an excuse to show no effort at all. It is patience to accept that he will introduce you to his family after some time. It is tolerance to accept that after half a year, you are still a complete secret. Patience has limits and is based on visible progress. Tolerance has no limits and is based on hope without evidence. And I want you to consider this as well. Very often, when a mature woman finds herself in a situation where she is giving significantly more than she is receiving, there is a part of her that finds this pattern familiar. Perhaps in your previous marriage or past relationships, you took on the role of the one who gives the most, tries the hardest, makes the biggest sacrifices. If this applies to you, it is important to realize that repeating these patterns will not lead to a different result. It does not matter how much you have grown or how much you have learned about yourself. If you continue choosing men who expect you to do all the emotional work, you will end up feeling drained and unappreciated again. Sometimes the most important personal growth is not about giving more or giving better, but about learning to receive what you deserve and to reject what does not serve you. This can be especially challenging if you spent many years in a marriage where you gradually got used to being treated with less attention, less romance, less consideration. If you spent years adapting to someone else's lack of effort, it can feel strange or even uncomfortable when someone new also shows little effort, just in a different way. But here is what I want to tell you. Just because you tolerated certain behaviors in the past does not mean you have to tolerate them in the future. Every new relationship is an opportunity to set new standards based on who you are today and what you have learned about yourself. It is also important to recognize that sometimes we unconsciously feel more comfortable with men who are not really emotionally available because there is less risk for our own hearts. If he is not fully invested, then you also don't have to fully open your heart. But this seemingly safe comfort zone comes at a high price. It takes away your chance to experience a deep, genuine connection. A mature, healthy, and real love requires vulnerability from both sides. It requires emotional risk, but also offers rewards you will never get if you stay in half-hearted, safe, but unfulfilling situations. I want you to think about the relationships you know that truly work, whether with friends, family members, or couples around you. What do they have in common? You will probably realize that both partners are equally invested, treat each other with respect, make an effort for each other, and have created a space where both can be authentic. These relationships did not come about because one person had to convince the other that they were worthy. They came about because two emotionally available people met and decided to build something together. And that is exactly what you deserve. Not a watered-down version of it, not a compromise that almost looks like it, but exactly that. If you recognize the 5 signs we talked about, lukewarm communication, attachment to the ex, constant cancelling of plans, excluding you from his family life, and a closed heart, then do not see them as weaknesses you need to fix in him. See them as valuable information that helps you make wise decisions about where to invest your time and emotional energy, because at the end of the day, that is what it's all about, using your emotional resources wisely. Your time, your energy, your ability to love, your optimism about relationships, all these are precious resources that should be used with care. If you invest these resources in a man who is not willing or able to reciprocate on the same level, you not only rob yourself of the possibility of the relationship you truly want, but you also drain yourself emotionally in a way that can prevent you from recognizing and accepting true love when it comes your way. So honor your experience, trust your intuition, and never be afraid to prioritize your own emotional well-being over the comfort of a familiar but unfulfilling situation. You have so much love to give, but you also deserve to receive it in equal measure. Do not settle for less, because there are wonderful men out there who are looking for exactly what you embody, a mature, wise woman who is capable of loving deeply and honestly. Have you ever noticed how certain women, regardless of their age, possess an extraordinary magnetism? They are not necessarily the youngest or the most beautiful according to conventional standards, yet there is something about them, something that causes men to constantly watch them, seek their closeness, and pursue them persistently. This is not a coincidence, nor is it luck. It is the result of specific behaviors they have perfected over time, behaviors that make them effortlessly irresistible. True seduction does not lie merely in appearance. The deepest allure is not found in cosmetics or expensive clothing. It is found in the essence you project, the attitude you carry yourself with, and the confidence you radiate. In this video, I will reveal 6 behaviors that transform a woman into someone absolutely captivating. If you adopt them, I guarantee you will notice the difference. You will see how the way men perceive you evolves, how they seek you out more, and how, without even trying, you begin to attract attention in ways you had not experienced before. And stay until the end, because behavior number 6 is the most powerful of all. Most women are completely unaware of it, but once you implement it, everything changes. What makes a woman truly captivating? Many people believe attraction is based solely on youth and physical appearance, but the reality is quite different. A mature woman can be even more fascinating than a younger one because she possesses something many young women have not yet developed: self-confidence. She does not question her worth, she does not seek constant validation, and she knows who she is. That confidence is magnetic. Her emotional and social experiences have taken her through enough to know what she desires and what she rejects, making her more selective and less dependent. She carries an aura of refinement and mystery. She does not reveal everything at once. She knows how to maintain interest and lets intrigue work in her favor. And here lies the key. Men are not only attracted by appearance. What truly draws them in is the energy a woman projects. Think for a moment. Why do some women, even if they are not the youngest or the most conventionally perfect, capture all the attention? Because they radiate something deeper, a commanding presence, a way of moving and expressing themselves that captivates. When a woman masters this, men cannot help but be drawn to her. Her mere presence generates fascination. She does not need to demand attention. Her energy does the work for her. And the best part is this does not depend on luck or genetics. It is the result of specific behaviors that any woman can adopt. Now that you understand the power you can develop, let's explore the first behavior that will make men see you with new eyes. And I assure you, you will start noticing the transformation today. Behavior number 1. Confidence is perceived before makeup. Did you know that before anyone notices your hair, your outfit, or your makeup, the very first thing they pick up on is your confidence? Nothing is more attractive than a woman who is confident in herself. It shows in the way you walk, the way you talk, and the way you express yourself. A confident woman does not seek validation. She naturally radiates it. She does not ask for permission to stand out. She simply does. Think about it for a moment. Imagine you enter a room and see 2 women. One is physically attractive, but her posture is slouched. She avoids eye contact, and she seems uncomfortable in her own skin. The other, although she may not fit every beauty standard, walks with determination, her head held high and her gaze reflecting confidence. Who do you think people will notice more? Confidence acts like a magnet, and the best part is that you don't need to be born with it. You can cultivate it and make it work in your favor. Science backs this up. A study from Webster University showed that people with high self-confidence are perceived as more attractive even if they don't fit conventional beauty standards physically. Why? Because confidence sends a clear message. I am valuable, I know what I want, and I don't need anyone's approval. Men don't just notice it, they feel it. And that energy draws them irresistibly. How can you implement this in your daily life? Walk with your back straight and your head held high. Your posture says it all. If you slouch or look down, you project insecurity. In contrast, when you move with determination, you project authority and confidence. Speak calmly and without rushing. Confident women don't feel the need to justify themselves or talk rapidly to fill silence. Their voice is measured, clear, and purposeful. Don't be afraid to take up space with your presence, whether you're in a meeting, walking down the street, or in a conversation. Make yourself noticed without asking for permission. Remember this, the way you present yourself to the universe determines how the universe perceives you. And now let's explore the next behavior, because this one will enhance your magnetism in a way that few women understand. Behavior number 2, a woman who doesn't cling controls the interaction. Desire grows in uncertainty. Have you noticed that when you stop being constantly available, certain men start seeking you out more? It's not a coincidence, it's pure psychology. A captivating woman doesn't beg for attention, nor is she intense or dependent on male validation. She understands that her value does not depend on how quickly someone replies to her. The most fascinating women are not the ones who chase. They are the ones who inspire others to pursue them. Why does this principle work? Human beings value what they perceive they might lose. If a man feels that he has you guaranteed, that you will always be there no matter what he does, his interest diminishes. Real-life example. Think about a time when a man started showing more interest just when you became less available. Suddenly, he started texting more, seeking you out, noticing details about you he previously ignored. Why? Because when something seems certain and guaranteed, it loses excitement. On the other hand, when there's a bit of uncertainty, desire intensifies. Men enjoy the challenge, the mystery, the feeling that they have to make an effort to win your attention. And here lies the key. When a woman doesn't cling to a man, she controls the interaction. How can you implement this in your daily life? Don't always be available. If a man feels he can have you whenever he wants, he will lose interest. Give him space to seek you out, to wonder what you're doing, to invest in you. Continue with your life. Don't revolve your day around whether he texted you or not. Engage in activities you enjoy. Pursue your own projects and passions. Learn to enjoy your solitude and your hobbies. A woman who knows how to be alone radiates independence, and that energy is incredibly attractive. Remember, detachment does not mean being cold or indifferent. It means you value yourself enough not to beg for attention, and that undoubtedly makes you captivating. In the next behavior, you will discover another fundamental key that the most magnetic women apply effortlessly. Behavior number 3, a style that reflects your personal power. Visual appeal does matter, but not in the way you might think. Many women believe that to be captivating, they must follow the latest trends, wear expensive clothing, or conform to certain beauty standards. Nothing could be further from the truth. What truly makes you stand out is not what you wear, but how you wear it. A woman with a well-defined style projects confidence and personal power. She doesn't chase fleeting trends. She chooses what makes her feel authentic and powerful. Her presence leaves a mark because her image is an extension of her inner energy. The impact of style on your personal magnetism. Reflect for a moment. When you walk into a space and see a woman moving confidently, elegantly put together, with a unique style, she instantly captures your attention. Real-life example, a study published in Psychology Today showed that people perceive someone as more attractive not because of their physical traits, but because of how they present themselves to the world through the confidence they radiate. A woman with her own style can stand out even more than someone with perfect features but lacking self-assurance. And it's not about resembling someone else, it's about enhancing what makes you extraordinary. How can you create a style that makes you unforgettable? Choose clothing that highlights your best features. Not everything suits everyone. Discover which cuts, fabrics, and styles complement your figure and enhance your essence. Example, if you have curves, dresses cinched at the waist can elegantly highlight them. If you are tall and slender, flowing cuts can balance your silhouette. Colors play a crucial role. Each shade carries a distinct energy and can help you project different aspects of your personality. Red, passion and power, ideal for moments when you want to be the center of attention. Black, mystery and sophistication, always elegant and timeless. White, purity and serenity, projecting peace and trust. Navy blue, intelligence and authority, perfect for conveying leadership. Earth tones, warmth and approachability, creating a sense of trust. Hairstyle and makeup that enhance your essence. You don't need heavy makeup or an elaborate hairstyle to be attractive. The key is to highlight your natural beauty. Tips: red lips for an instant touch of sensuality. Radiant, well-cared-for skin instead of heavy layers of foundation. A flattering haircut that frames your face. A signature perfume that makes you unforgettable. The sense of smell is closely tied to memory and emotions. Having a distinctive scent can ensure you are remembered even when you're not present. Tip: find a fragrance that reflects your essence. It can be floral, woody, sweet, or fresh, but it should make you feel empowered every time you wear it. Remember, it's not about beauty, it's about presence. A woman who masters her style feels powerful, and that energy makes her captivating. In the next behavior, you will discover another essential secret that the most magnetic women apply effortlessly. Behavior number 4, a feminine energy that magnetizes. Feminine energy is fundamental to attraction, but before we misunderstand it, let's make one thing clear. Feminine energy has nothing to do with weakness, submission, or dependence. It is exactly the opposite. It is the ability to influence without imposing, to receive without demanding, to attract without chasing. It is the confidence that what you desire will come to you without the need to force it. It is the ability to inspire without losing your essence. It is the magic of making men want to come closer to you without you ever having to ask. Many women have fallen into the trap of believing that to be attractive, they must adopt a masculine attitude, taking control of everything and being the ones to pursue men. This is a mistake. When you take too much initiative, the other person doesn't experience the desire to win you over. When you impose your presence, you leave no room for curiosity or mystery. When you burden yourself with control, you extinguish your natural magnetism. On the other hand, when you learn to balance your feminine energy, you create an elegant, alluring, and deeply captivating presence. The secret of women who captivate effortlessly. There are women who, regardless of their age, manage to attract male attention simply by entering a room. They don't need to dress provocatively. They are not obsessed with perfection. They don't compete with other women. Real-life example: a study at the University of California revealed that men perceive women with a relaxed, calm communication style and receptive body language as more attractive. Why? Because they project confidence and effortless femininity. And this is the key difference between forcing attraction and simply allowing it to happen. How can you apply feminine energy to your advantage? First, allow him to take the initiative. Women who constantly plan everything take away a man's opportunity to win them over. This doesn't mean you should be passive. It means you should allow him to feel the desire to make an effort for you. Example: if he suggests going out instead of taking control and planning everything, ask curiously, "What do you have in mind?" Allow him to lead. If he is truly interested, he will seek to impress you. Second, learn to enjoy the present. Many women sabotage their connections by obsessing over the future. Will he text me tomorrow? Does he want something serious? What if he doesn't call? What should I do? This anxiety pushes men away because they sense the pressure to constantly prove something. Instead, a magnetic woman enjoys the present moment without expectations or pressure. If he seeks her out, wonderful. If he doesn't, that's fine too. Her energy is not dependent on anyone else. Third, use softer, slower communication. The tone of your voice and the way you express yourself are powerful tools of seduction. Speak more slowly and purposefully. Allow pauses to create mystery and anticipation. Avoid harsh or aggressive tones. Example: in a conversation, instead of responding hastily or over-explaining yourself, allow room for silence. Pauses create intrigue and capture attention. True attraction doesn't lie in what you say, but in how you say it. Conclusion: feminine energy is an art, not a strategy. When you learn to relax, to receive instead of chase, and to project a magnetic presence without forcing it, men naturally feel the desire to approach you. And the best part is that once you master this behavior, you are the one who decides who deserves your energy and who does not. The next behavior will elevate your magnetism to an entirely new level. Behavior number 5, mastering the art of conversation. A captivating woman understands that conversation goes beyond words. It's not about talking incessantly or trying to impress at all costs. It's about creating a connection that sparks curiosity, interest, and attraction. How does she achieve this? By speaking less, but saying more. By using the power of silence to intensify the connection. By creating an aura of mystery and depth in every interaction. Many women make the mistake of trying to fill silences with unnecessary words, talking excessively about themselves, or attempting to capture a man's attention with long, complex stories. But seduction doesn't work that way. The secret of women who captivate with their voice. Real-life example, psychological studies have shown that 80% of attraction comes from nonverbal communication. In other words, how you say something is far more important than what you say. The most magnetic women are not those who talk the most, but those who know how to create tension, intrigue, and curiosity in a conversation. How can you achieve this? Keys to conversing like a captivating woman. First, use eye contact intentionally. A glance can communicate more than 1,000 words. Don't avoid eye contact. Hold deep, steady gazes for a few seconds before looking away. Play with the intensity. Look, smile subtly, and then slowly divert your gaze. This small gesture creates an immediate attraction effect. Second, don't reveal everything about yourself right away. Mystery is fundamental in seduction. Many women feel the urge to tell their entire life story in a single conversation. Mistake. Instead, reply with brief answers and allow him to want to know more. Use phrases that spark curiosity, like, "That's a fascinating story, but I'll tell you another day." Don't be afraid to hold back some details for future conversations. What you withhold can be just as powerful as what you share. Third, learn to ask interesting questions. The best conversations are not about you, they're about the other person. Instead of giving one-word answers or long speeches about your life, ask questions that spark interest, such as, "If you could live in any historical era, which one would you choose?" Or, "What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail?" Or, "If you had to describe yourself in 3 words, what would they be?" Interesting questions make your conversation partner more engaged and create a deeper emotional connection with you. Fourth, play with your tone of voice and pauses. The tone of your voice can transform an ordinary phrase into something seductive or dull. Speak slowly, without rushing. Use a tone that is soft, yet firm. Incorporate small pauses before answering to create anticipation. Example, instead of just saying, "That's interesting," say, interesting, pausing slightly before continuing. The rhythm and intonation can make even the simplest sentences truly captivating. Conclusion: a woman who masters conversation does not aim to impress. She aims to connect. She uses eye contact, plays with silences, asks questions that spark interest, and maintains an air of mystery in every interaction. Remember, it's not about speaking a lot, it's about speaking with purpose. The next behavior will take your magnetism to an even higher level. Behavior number 6. Independence is the greatest aphrodisiac. A woman with her own life is magnetic, enigmatic, and unforgettable. The most common mistake many women make is building their entire existence around a relationship. But true attraction arises when you are complete on your own, when you have a life that excites you and a purpose that drives you. Why? Because a man doesn't want to be the center of your universe. He wants to be part of a universe that is already fascinating on its own. Independent women are captivating. They don't seek a man to complete them. They don't live waiting for messages or validation. They have ambitions, hobbies, and an exciting life with or without a partner. Real-life example: the most attractive women are not the ones who try the hardest to please. They are the ones whose lives are so interesting that others want to be part of them. Men adore independent women because their energy exudes confidence, fulfillment, and security. How can you apply this behavior in your life? First, have a purpose beyond a relationship. Your existence cannot revolve around another person. Find something you are passionate about, a project, a business, a personal goal. Define what you want to achieve in life and work toward it. Do not place your happiness in someone else's hands. When you have a purpose, your energy transforms. You radiate confidence and enthusiasm. Second, surround yourself with people who elevate your energy. The individuals you spend the most time with influence your vibration and self-esteem. Avoid toxic friendships that bring only drama and negativity. Surround yourself with inspiring women who motivate you to grow. Build a social circle that lifts you up rather than limits you. When you are around high-energy people, your confidence and attractiveness naturally increase. Third, keep growing and learning continuously. A woman who evolves constantly is truly captivating. Learn something new every day. Read, travel, attend courses, explore different areas of life. Never stop investing in yourself. Personal development makes you more attractive because it turns you into a more interesting and self-assured person. Conclusion: your existence is your greatest source of attraction. You don't need a man to rescue you. You don't wait for someone to complete you. And you don't live your life around a relationship. You are complete on your own, and that is the most attractive energy you can project. The next insight reveals another secret of captivating women. True attraction has nothing to do with age. It's all about the energy you project. If you've made it this far, you now understand that the most powerful form of beauty does not lie in appearance, but in the confidence, independence, and energy you radiate. Men don't remember the woman with the most perfect looks. They remember the one who made them feel something special, the one who stood out from the rest, the one who radiated a unique essence. If you start implementing these 6 behaviors into your life, you will notice something extraordinary. Men will look at you differently. You will feel greater self-confidence, and you will project a magnetic energy that will attract more opportunities, not just in love, but in every area of your life, because attraction is not a matter of luck, it is a matter of behavior. Now, I would love to know your opinion. Which of these behaviors do you feel you already master? Which one do you need to prioritize improving? Share your response in the comments. I truly enjoy reading them. Have you ever wondered why some men seem magnetically drawn to certain women while others remain invisible to them? The secret isn't just physical appearance. There's something much deeper, something renowned psychologist Carl Jung uncovered in his studies of the male unconscious. Today I'm going to reveal what no other woman has dared to share: the 6 psychological triggers that awaken uncontrollable sexual desire in a man. This knowledge has been kept secret for decades, considered too dangerous to share openly. And imagine being able to awaken such an intense attraction in the man you desire that he can't think about anything but you. No manipulative games, no empty seduction tactics, just the power of genuine connection with the deepest layers of the male psyche. One of my clients, Mariana, had been divorced for 5 years and had given up on finding love again. At 47, she believed her time to spark desire in a man had passed. After applying just 2 of the 6 secrets I'll reveal today, not only did she recapture the attention of the man she wanted, but she awakened in him a devotion she never imagined possible. What I'm about to share with you goes far beyond the superficial techniques of seduction you may have already tried. This isn't about lingerie, expensive perfumes, or rehearsed conversation tricks. Men are creatures driven by symbols and archetypes that reside in their collective unconscious, concepts that Jung spent decades studying. When you understand and awaken these archetypes, you don't just attract a man, you become the embodiment of what he has been unconsciously seeking all along. These secrets were uncovered in Jung's personal journals, only recently translated and made available to a select group of researchers. What we found there completely changed our understanding of male sexuality, but I must warn you, this knowledge comes with responsibility. When you understand how to activate these triggers in a man's unconscious, you hold in your hands a power few women ever possess, a power that, when used wisely, can transform not only your relationship, but the entire dynamic between you and the man you desire. The question remains, are you ready to go beyond the limitations that have kept you stuck in superficial relationships? Or worse, in loneliness? Are you willing to dive into the depths of the male psyche and awaken a desire he didn't even know existed within him? If the answer is yes, keep watching. The next few minutes could forever change the way men respond to you. This is the knowledge for which Jung was criticized, the knowledge he considered too powerful to share indiscriminately. The first secret that intensely activates a man's sexual desire is rooted in what Jung called the connection with the shadow. The shadow, in Jungian terms, represents the parts of ourselves that we hide, repress, or deny. And here's the surprising revelation. When you become a safe mirror for a man's hidden parts, you awaken in him a nearly mystical desire. Have you ever noticed how some men are drawn to women who make them feel deeply understood, even in ways they can't explain themselves? It's no coincidence. It's the manifestation of this first forbidden secret. From childhood, men are conditioned to repress their emotions, vulnerabilities, and insecurities. They carry an invisible burden. The need to always appear strong, unshakable, confident. This mask that society forces them to wear creates constant pressure, a deep disconnection from essential parts of themselves. When you become the sanctuary where he can take off that mask, even briefly, even subtly, you activate one of the most powerful desire triggers. It's not about turning him into a fragile being or becoming his therapist. It's about creating a sacred space where he can simply be, without judgment, without expectation. The way to activate this trigger is through full presence. When you are truly present with a man, listening not just to his words but to what's behind them, observing not just his actions but the intentions that drive them, you begin to see his shadow. And when you acknowledge that shadow without trying to fix it, without fear, without judgment, you awaken in him a deep gratitude that quickly transforms into desire. The second forbidden secret revealed by Jung is what he called the dance with the anima. Every man carries within him an internal image of the feminine, the anima, which profoundly influences his attraction and relationships. This image is not merely a physical ideal, but a constellation of energetic, emotional, and spiritual qualities. What's fascinating about the anima is that it isn't static. It evolves throughout a man's life, shaped by his experiences, relationships, and inner growth. What few people know is that you can consciously attune yourself to this inner image, and by doing so, awaken a level of attraction that transcends the purely physical. When you embody aspects of a man's anima, you are not being false or manipulative. You are creating a bridge between your authentic self and the parts of him that long for expression through connection with the feminine. It's a sacred dance between polarities. A practical example: observe closely how he responds to different aspects of your femininity. There are moments when your nurturing nature visibly soothes him, or he seems more alive when you express your spontaneity and free spirit. Maybe it's your strength and independence that magnetize him, or your softness and receptivity. These are clues revealing the nature of his anima. By recognizing these patterns and allowing these aspects of your own femininity to naturally flourish when you're together, you create a powerful resonance with his inner world. One of my clients, Christina, age 53, discovered that the man she loved responded deeply when she expressed her intuitive and mysterious side. Instead of trying to impress him with logic and practicality, she allowed her deeper nature, her connection to intuition and mystery, to emerge. The result was a complete transformation in their dynamic. The third secret Jung revealed in his most intimate journals is what he called the alchemy of contrast. This is perhaps the most surprising of the male desire triggers and contradicts much of what we've been taught about attraction. The male psyche is naturally drawn not to uniformity, but to dynamic contrast. A man does not seek a partner who is consistently sweet, or consistently strong, or consistently anything. What awakens his deepest desire is the woman who contains multitudes, who can be gentle and fierce, vulnerable and powerful, grounded and mysterious. This principle of the alchemy of contrast explains why relationships that start with intense passion often lose their spark over time. When we present ourselves in a one-dimensional way, or when we fall into predictability, we lose the element of contrast that keeps male desire alive. Jung discovered that the male psyche responds with intense desire when it experiences what he called the union of opposites in a woman. It's the ability to be maternal in one moment and passionately sensual in another, to be deeply spiritual and shamelessly earthly, to be independent and confident, yet also open to receiving and being cared for. Think of this as a dance between different aspects of your being. It's not about being inconsistent or inauthentic. It's about honoring the natural complexity that exists within you. When you allow the different facets of your personality to express themselves freely, you create a magnetic field of mystery and ongoing discovery that keeps male desire alive. Eleanor, a 42-year-old client of mine, applied this principle to her 15-year marriage, which had fallen into routine. She realized she had become one-dimensional, always the practical, organized, predictable wife. By reconnecting with other dimensions of herself, her sensuality, her spirituality, her adventurous spirit, she reintroduced the element of contrast into the relationship. Her husband, who had seemed distant for years, began looking at her with the eyes of a man rediscovering his partner. These first three secrets already form a powerful foundation for transforming the way a man responds to you. But now we arrive at the point where Jung was most daring in his discoveries, where he revealed the deepest and most transformative aspects of the male psyche. What we're about to uncover is the reason why some men remain obsessed with certain women for decades, while they can barely remember the names of others. It's the reason why some relationships seem to transcend time and circumstance, creating a bond that not even the greatest challenges can break. We now arrive at Jung's fourth forbidden secret, perhaps the most powerful and least understood of all, resonance with the inner hero. Jung discovered that every man, regardless of age or circumstance, carries within him the archetype of the hero, a primal force that longs for expression, recognition, and purpose. This inner hero is not merely ego or masculine vanity. It is a deep archetypal force that drives a man to seek meaning, overcome challenges, and leave an impact. And here's the surprising revelation. When a woman is able to see, honor, and create space for this inner hero to emerge, she activates one of the most potent sexual desire triggers in a man. Understand, this is not about pretending to be fragile to make him feel strong, nor about diminishing yourself to lift him up. That's a distorted and superficial take on this profound principle. True resonance with a man's inner hero happens when you genuinely recognize his specific heroic qualities, his integrity, determination, vision, his ability to protect or provide, or any other unique expression of his essence. When you reflect those heroic qualities back to him, not through flattery, but through true appreciation, you become a mirror in which he can finally see his highest potential. This recognition awakens in him not just gratitude, but a deep desire to become even more for you, to be worthy of your gaze, to rise to the version of himself that you see. Tiana, a 58-year-old client, applied this principle in her long-term relationship. Instead of focusing on her partner's flaws, as she had done for years, she began to truly observe and acknowledge his heroic traits, his resilience in facing professional setbacks, his unwavering loyalty to family, his constant pursuit of self-improvement. The result was almost immediate. The man who had seemed apathetic and distant came alive again with new energy, new passion, and renewed desire for her. This trigger is so powerful that Jung himself warned about its use. When a man feels he has found the woman who truly sees and honors his inner hero, he forms a bond that transcends physical attraction or even conventional romantic love. It becomes a soul connection, a resonance he has rarely, if ever, experienced before. The fifth secret revealed in Jung's forbidden writings is what he called the portal to the transcendent. Jung discovered that male sexuality, in its deepest essence, is not merely seeking physical pleasure or release. There is a spiritual dimension to male sexual desire that few women truly understand. For a man, the sexual encounter with a woman who embodies this fifth principle becomes a portal to an experience that transcends the ordinary, an experience that momentarily connects him with something greater than himself. It becomes a dissolving of boundaries, a union not just of bodies but of energies, of essences. This transcendent aspect of male sexuality explains why certain sexual experiences stay etched in a man's memory for decades, while others fade quickly. It's not about technique or physical appearance. It's about the presence of a woman who understands and embodies this sacred dimension of sexual union. How can you awaken this deeply spiritual trigger? The key lies in your own connection to the transcendent, to the sacred feminine that lives within you. When you reconnect with the ancestral wisdom of your body, when you fully inhabit your sensuality as a sacred expression of your feminine essence, you naturally become this portal. In practice, this means letting go of performativity during intimacy. It means being truly present, connected to your sensations, to your breath, to the flow of energy within your body. It means allowing yourself to experience pleasure, not as something to be achieved or performed, but as a natural expression of your life force. When you approach sexuality from this expanded awareness, you awaken in a man a response that goes far beyond the physical. You activate within him ancestral memories of a sacred union between the masculine and the feminine. This is the experience he will seek again and again, the one that keeps him magnetically drawn to you. Clara, at 49, discovered this principle after years of unfulfilling relationships. By reconnecting with her sacred nature, with the wisdom and power of her feminine body, she completely transformed her experience of intimacy. The man she had just started seeing confessed that he had never felt such a deep, transformative connection with any other woman before. We now arrive at the sixth and final forbidden secret, the one Jung considered the most powerful and also the most dangerous, the mirror of wholeness. This principle transcends all the previous ones and integrates them into a revolutionary understanding of the male psyche. Jung discovered that a man's deepest and most enduring sexual desire is awakened by the woman who becomes, for him, the mirror of his totality, who reflects not just parts of him, but his entire being, including what he has yet to recognize within himself. This mirror of wholeness is created when you develop the ability to see beyond a man's surface layers, beyond his words and actions, into his deepest essence. When you are able to recognize and honor both his light and his shadow, his strength and his vulnerability, his present self and his unrealized potential, the ability to mirror a man's wholeness is not a technique you can learn overnight. It is the result of deep inner work, of a journey into self-awareness and the integration of your own shadows and light. Because you can only recognize in another what you have already recognized in yourself. When you become this mirror of wholeness, you offer a man an experience of completion, of integration, of belonging that he may have never felt before. You become for him not just a partner, but a path to his own healing and evolution. This is the most powerful trigger of all because it transcends sexual desire and transforms it into a longing for self-realization through union with you. It is a bond that does not break easily because it is rooted in the deepest layers of the psyche. Isabella, a 61-year-old client, embodied this principle in her new relationship after a painful divorce. By doing her own shadow work, she developed the ability to see and honor her new partner in his totality. The result was a connection so profound that he often said he felt truly seen for the first time in his life. Their sexual desire, even after 3 years together, remained intense and continually renewed. These 6 forbidden secrets of Jung form a map for awakening and sustaining a man's sexual desire, not through manipulation or surface-level tactics, but through a deep understanding of the male psyche and an authentic connection that honors both your feminine essence and his totality. Now that you know Jung's 6 forbidden secrets to activate a man's sexual desire, it's essential to understand how to integrate this knowledge into your life in a practical and transformative way. Even more importantly, you must grasp the profound impact this ancestral wisdom can have, not just on your relationships, but on your entire existence as a woman. The first step to integrating these secrets is to recognize that they are not isolated techniques, but interconnected parts of a holistic approach to femininity and relationships. When you work with the connection to the shadow, for example, you're not just activating a man's desire. You are simultaneously creating a space of authenticity that benefits both of you. Here's a truth I must share with you. Implementing these Jungian principles requires courage. Courage to dive into your own depths before trying to understand his. Courage to break away from dysfunctional patterns that may have become familiar. Courage to allow yourself to be seen in your vulnerability and in your power. What I've observed with my clients over the years is that the greatest transformation doesn't happen in their relationships with men, it happens in their relationship with themselves. By understanding and working with these Jungian principles, they develop a deeper connection with their own feminine essence, with their innate wisdom, and with their personal power. Renata, at 55, came to me hoping to win back her ex-husband. By working with these principles, especially the dance with the anima and the alchemy of contrast, she not only rekindled his interest but discovered a version of herself that had been dormant for decades. For the first time, she told me, "I feel like I'm living from my center, not to please or to keep a relationship, but because I've finally reconnected with who I truly am." This is the deepest outcome of this work, the rediscovery of your own wholeness as a woman. And it is precisely this reconnection with your essence that creates the magnetic field that attracts a man, not temporarily but in a lasting and meaningful way. A question that often arises when I share these secrets is, but isn't this manipulation? The answer is a clear and definitive no. Manipulation involves dishonesty, control, and a power imbalance. What Jung uncovered are principles of authentic connection, grounded in a deep understanding of the human psyche and in honoring both the feminine and the masculine. When you work with the resonance with the inner hero, for example, you're not faking admiration to manipulate a man. You're developing the ability to truly see and appreciate the heroic qualities that exist within him. It's an exercise in expanded perception, not control. Likewise, when you embody the portal to the transcendent, you're not using sexual techniques to create dependency. You're reconnecting with the sacred dimension of your own sexuality, and by doing so, creating a space where both of you can experience a deeper and more meaningful connection. Integrating these principles into your life is a process, not a one-time event. It begins with self-awareness, observing how you've shown up in your relationships, which aspects of your femininity you've expressed freely and which you've repressed. What patterns have repeated in your interactions with men? The second step is self-acceptance. Embracing all dimensions of your feminine being without judgment, recognizing that both your vulnerability and your strength, your receptivity and your assertiveness are valid and powerful expressions of who you are. The third step is conscious practice, beginning to incorporate these principles into your daily interactions, noticing the responses you receive, adjusting your approach, not to manipulate, but to create more authentic and meaningful connections. One of my clients, Patricia, age 38, kept a journal in which she recorded her observations about how different aspects of her feminine expression affected not only the man she was relating to, but her interactions in general. This simple act of conscious awareness allowed her to identify and release patterns that had sabotaged her relationships in the past. The truth that few women fully understand is this: the ability to awaken and sustain a man's sexual desire is merely the surface-level expression of a far deeper feminine power. The power to create connection, meaning, and transformation through your presence. When you integrate Jung's 6 forbidden secrets into your life, you're not just becoming more attractive to men, you're awakening dormant aspects of your own psyche, reconnecting with ancestral lineages of feminine wisdom, reclaiming a power that is yours by birthright. The consequences of this awakening extend far beyond the realm of romantic relationships. My clients frequently report transformations in all areas of their lives: greater clarity of purpose, increased creative energy, improved family relationships, and even enhanced material prosperity. It's as if by reconnecting with these deep dimensions of their feminine nature, they open channels for life's abundance to flow more freely in all its expressions. This is the true gift of Jung's forbidden teachings, not merely the ability to awaken desire in a man, but the rediscovery of an integrated, powerful, and transformative femininity that positively impacts every aspect of your existence. Now, an important warning: like all powerful knowledge, these principles carry responsibility. When working with such profound aspects of the male psyche, you will inevitably touch wounds, fears, and desires that may have long lain dormant. It's essential to approach this work with compassion for both yourself and the man you're engaging with. Understand that awakening deeper dimensions of connection also means creating space for vulnerabilities and insecurities to surface, both yours and his. Often, a man experiencing this kind of deep connection for the first time may feel simultaneously drawn and frightened. His initial response may be to pull away or show ambivalence before fully surrendering to this new experience of intimacy. Patience and compassion are essential in these moments. You are guiding both him and yourself through unfamiliar territories of the psyche, through chambers of the heart that may have been closed for decades. What my clients inevitably discover is that this journey, though challenging at times, leads to a kind of relationship that few ever experience in their lives. A connection rooted in the deepest layers of being, fueled by a desire that does not fade with time, but rather deepens and transforms. This is the legacy of Jung's forbidden secrets, not just techniques to spark desire, but a map to soul-nourishing relationships that catalyze growth and bring forth the best in both the feminine and the masculine. And now, the choice is yours. You can continue as before, navigating relationships with limited tools and surface-level understanding, or you can embark on this journey of rediscovering your feminine power, consciously activating these deep triggers in the man you desire, and creating a relationship that transcends the ordinary. The knowledge has been shared, the portal has been opened, the path to a transformative experience of love and sexuality lies before you. The only question that remains is, will you take the first step? If this video stirred something within you, if you felt a resonance with these ancestral secrets, share it now with other women who deserve to rediscover their feminine power. This knowledge has been kept in the shadows for far too long. It's time to break the silence and create a community of awakened and empowered women. Click the share button and spread this wisdom. Every woman who awakens to her full power sends out ripples of transformation that benefit not only herself, but everyone around her. Have you ever wondered why men seem unable to express their true feelings? What if I told you that a man who is madly in love with you has already told you, just in a language that almost no woman understands? Carl Jung discovered that men express their deepest love through 7 specific phrases that sound ordinary but hide absolute devotion. Today I'm going to reveal these 7 phrases, words that a man says only to the woman he truly loves with all his heart. Phrases that often go completely unnoticed. The fifth one will leave you speechless, as it is likely the most misunderstood. When you hear it, you will instantly know whether he truly loves you unconditionally. The truth is, men and women speak completely different emotional languages. Jung found in his studies of the male unconscious that men, shaped by the archetype of the warrior, are literally incapable of expressing love the same way women do. Not because they don't feel deeply, but because their emotional language is different, almost cryptically encoded. And most women spend their entire lives trying to decode this language without ever truly understanding it. Jung discovered something revolutionary. When a man deeply loves a woman, he overcomes the barriers of his inner warrior and shows his love through very specific phrases. Phrases that, for him, represent deep vulnerability. Yet these phrases sound so everyday, so mundane, that almost no woman recognizes them for what they truly are, the deepest declarations of love. That's why so many women feel unloved or unappreciated, even though their partner is desperately trying to express his love in the deepest way he knows. And now comes the first sentence, a sentence a man says only to the woman he is madly in love with. Be ready. You've probably heard it many times without ever realizing its true meaning. What do you think about it? This seemingly simple and everyday question is actually one of the deepest declarations of love a man can make. When a man asks for your opinion about something important in his life, he defies one of the strongest inner rules of his warrior archetype, self-sufficiency. Jung found that, for the male psyche, asking for advice is equivalent to showing weakness, an admission of not having all the answers. And a man does this only with the woman who is at the center of his heart. What matters is recognizing the context and the way he says it. If he asks for your opinion on an important decision, a major life change, or a heartfelt project, he's essentially saying, "Your mind, your judgment, and your wisdom matter so much to me that I can't imagine making this decision without you. Your thoughts literally shape my future." Maria, a 56-year-old woman who attended one of my courses, shared a revealing story about this phrase. For years, she believed her partner didn't love her enough because he never said romantic words like in the movies. But during our work, she began to realize that he constantly asked her opinion about work decisions, family matters, even personal choices. One day, he asked her what she thought about a potential career change, and she suddenly realized that he was entrusting her with his entire vision of the future, a gesture of trust and love that no words could express. When she shared this realization with him, he admitted through tears, "I've never made an important decision without you. I can't imagine my life without your wisdom." Here are the non-verbal signals that accompany this phrase when said with genuine love. The man looks directly into your eyes with an open, receptive gaze. He leans in slightly, listens attentively without interrupting, and you'll notice small, approving gestures as you speak. These signs show that he is fully engaged in your thought process and ready to be influenced by you, something a man only does with a woman he deeply loves. When you recognize that a man is asking you this question with sincere love, here's how to respond to deepen the connection. Take a moment to truly think before you answer. This shows that you appreciate his vulnerability. Then share your honest opinion, not what you think he wants to hear. And finally, ask him what he thinks and why your opinion matters so much to him. This opens a space of emotional intimacy that few men ever experience, but one they desperately long for with the woman they love. The second sentence is a deep expression of vulnerability. Before I reveal this sentence to you, I want to ask you something important. If what I've told you so far resonates with your experience, if you feel that this knowledge could change the way you understand men, then subscribe to this channel now and activate the bell. In the upcoming videos, I will reveal more profound secrets that Jung discovered about the emotional language of men, secrets that can completely transform your relationships. Don't miss these insights that might show you whether the man in your life truly loves you, even if he never says it with the words you expect. The second sentence that a man only says to the woman he loves deeply may surprise you with its simplicity. And yet, according to Jung's studies on the male unconscious, it contains one of the deepest expressions of emotional openness a man can offer. Here it is. I had a rough day. That may sound trivial, but when a man shares his struggles with you, he is doing something extraordinary. He lowers the shield of his inner warrior. Jung discovered that the warrior archetype, which dominates the male unconscious, commands men to always appear strong, controlled, and invulnerable. This archetype, shaped by thousands of years of evolution, makes it nearly physically painful for men to admit weakness. It feels like a betrayal of their deepest inner identity. So, when a man tells you that he had a hard day, he's not just making small talk, he's essentially saying, with you, I can take off my mask. With you, I can be vulnerable like with no one else. With you, I can be seen as a whole human being, even with my weaknesses. And that, Jung explained, is in the deepest parts of the male unconscious, the purest form of love. In his clinical studies, Jung observed that men only share their struggles in two contexts, either with the woman they love deeply or in therapeutic spaces specifically designed to create emotional safety. In all other situations, even with other men, they tend to hide or minimize their vulnerability. Because for the male unconscious, showing vulnerability means, I am placing my life in your hands. It is an act of absolute trust. Anna, a 62-year-old woman, told me how this understanding completely changed her perspective on her husband. For years, she thought he was simply complaining when he spoke about work-related challenges. At times, she even saw his behavior as overly sensitive. But when she understood the deeper meaning behind these words, she recognized them as the most intimate moments of their relationship. He was showing her a side of himself he hid from everyone else. He was offering her his vulnerability, the most precious gift he could give. When she began to respond to these revelations with gratitude and respect, their relationship blossomed into a whole new level of emotional closeness. Here are the non-verbal signs that accompany this sentence when it's said out of genuine love. The man may initially avoid direct eye contact, a sign of how difficult it is for him to show vulnerability. His voice might become a bit softer. There might be a short pause before or after the sentence, a signal of the emotional weight of his words. And you may notice his shoulders relax slightly, as if he had just set down a heavy burden. If you recognize this sentence as an expression of deep love, here's how you can respond. Listen attentively without interrupting or immediately offering solutions. Your mindful presence is the most valuable gift you can give him in that moment. You can acknowledge his feelings with simple words. It sounds like your day was really hard. Let him know that you appreciate him sharing it with you and that his vulnerability is a gift you honor. This creates a sacred space of emotional intimacy, which, according to Jung, is the most fertile ground for real love. The third sentence that a man says only to the woman he loves deeply is, surprisingly, connected to his physical space, something Carl Jung described as an extension of the male ego in the material world. That sentence is, I like how you arranged this. When a man positively comments on how you've changed his space, he's saying far more than it may appear on the surface. Jung discovered that for the male unconscious, personal space is a direct extension of identity. Allowing changes to this space means allowing changes to his very identity. A man permits this kind of influence only to a woman who holds a central and lasting place in his heart. It's not a casual compliment. When he says he likes how you've decorated or organized something, he's essentially saying, I am integrating you and your essence into my deepest identity. I'm letting you change me. You're becoming part of who I am. For the male psyche, this is one of the deepest acts of love. Jung also observed that men tend to retain territorial control over their spaces, a trait inherited from the archaic hunter archetype. If a man allows someone to alter his space, It means he sees that person as a part of himself, and he does that only with a woman he sees as a lifelong partner. Lucia, a 58-year-old woman, shared a powerful story related to this. Her partner was a reserved, quiet man who rarely expressed love verbally, which often made her doubt the relationship. One day, after she had reorganized his office, a space he considered almost sacred, he entered the room, looked around, and simply said, "I like how you set this up." At the time, she didn't think much of it, but months later, when he proposed, he referenced that exact moment. "When you redesigned my office and I liked it, I knew I wanted you in my life forever." It was his deepest love confession, one she hadn't recognized back then. There are subtle non-verbal signs when this sentence is said with genuine love. The man alternates his gaze between you and the space you changed. His body is relaxed and open. He may touch some of the objects you arranged, and his expression might seem reflective, as if he's envisioning a future together in that space. To deepen the connection when you recognize this as an expression of love, thank him for his openness. Share what inspired you when decorating. This opens a dialogue about shared visions, a bridge between your inner worlds. You might also ask if there's anything he would wish for in your shared space. According to Jung, the co-creation of physical space reflects and strengthens the co-creation of emotional space. Now let's move to the fourth sentence. A man only says to a woman he loves intensely, and it may sound like a simple, polite question, but according to Jung, it carries profound meaning. What are you doing tomorrow? When a man asks about your future plans, even just for the next day, he's doing something fundamental. He's integrating your timeline into his own. Jung found that time, for the male unconscious, is just as sacred as physical space. A man who asks about your future is essentially saying, "Your future matters to me as much as mine. I'm making space for you in my vision of what's to come. Our paths are linked." It's not a random question, it's an act of deep emotional integration. Jung observed that men tend to visualize their future individually, a remnant of the lone warrior archetype. Intentionally including another person in that vision is one of the deepest expressions of love, an opening of the innermost emotional space. What makes this sentence so powerful is that it's often said in casual moments, at the end of a phone call, during breakfast, or in a brief message. But for the male psyche, it's a symbolic invitation to exist together in time. Eleanor, a 54-year-old woman, shared how this insight changed her view of a man she was dating. He often asked about her plans, not just for tomorrow, but weeks or even months ahead. At first, she felt uncomfortable, thinking he was trying to control her, but once she understood the real meaning, she realized he was deeply trying to intertwine their lives. When she brought it up, he confessed that he constantly envisioned their future together, and that his questions were his way of ensuring that future could happen. When this sentence is spoken with genuine love, the accompanying non-verbal cues are subtle but clear. The man is fully present, possibly putting aside what he was doing. His gaze is attentive and focused, as if mentally taking notes. Often he'll also share his own plans afterward, a sign that he's intentionally weaving your timelines together. To respond in a way that deepens the connection, share your plans with real details, not just general statements, that nurtures his desire to see you in his future. Ask about his plans too, and invite him to co-create a vision of what lies ahead. You can even highlight overlaps in your schedules to reinforce the sense that time is a shared space. According to Jung, consciously shaping the future together is one of the strongest foundations for genuine, lasting love. And now we come to the fifth sentence, the one I previously described as the most misunderstood and yet the most powerful. A sentence many women interpret as weakness or insecurity, but one that, according to Jung, may be the boldest love declaration a man can make. Before I reveal it, I ask that you open yourself to truly recognizing it, because it could forever change the way you perceive the man in your life. The fifth sentence a man only says to the woman he loves deeply is, "I don't know what to do." This simple admission of uncertainty, according to Jung's research, is the male psyche's deepest expression of love. To understand why, we must return to the core archetype of the warrior. For millennia, a man's survival depended on his ability to decide quickly, to know the path, to always have a plan. In the ancient male code, uncertainty meant death, whether literally on the battlefield or metaphorically in social hierarchy. When a man tells you that he doesn't know what to do, he's breaking the most powerful taboo of his inner warrior. What he's really saying is, I'm taking off the mask I show the world. With you, I can be completely authentic, even in my confusion, indecision, and imperfect humanity. I'm not showing you the man I'm supposed to be, but the man I truly am. And in the depths of the male psyche, this is the greatest gift, the fullest expression of trust and love. Yet this sentence is often the most misunderstood by women. Many interpret this confession as a sign of weakness, immaturity, or even incompetence. And in that very moment of profound openness, when the man is trying to create true closeness, he feels judged or rejected. Jung observed that this misunderstanding has triggered countless relationship conflicts. Paula, a 60-year-old woman, told me a revealing story about this fifth sentence. Her husband, usually confident and decisive, was going through a professional crisis. One evening, he sat on the couch with her and simply said, "I don't know what to do." Her initial inner reaction was panic and disappointment. How could her rock suddenly seem so lost? Though she tried to hide her feelings, he sensed her judgment and emotionally withdrew. For months, the distance between them grew until, in couples therapy, she finally realized that this had been his deepest attempt to be close to her, not a sign of failure. When she eventually told him this, he cried and admitted that he had felt completely alone, precisely in the moment when he wanted to open his heart the most. The nonverbal signs that accompany this sentence, when spoken with sincere love, include physical vulnerability. The man may lower his gaze, his voice may be softer than usual. Often there is a long silence before or after the sentence, a signal of emotional weight. And if you look closely, you may notice physical tension, as if he's fighting an instinct to flee from his own vulnerability. When you recognize this sentence for what it truly is, a declaration of love, here's how you should respond. First, acknowledge the gift he is giving you. You could say, "Thank you for sharing this with me. I know how hard that must be for you." Then, rather than jumping in to fix the problem, or worse, judging him for his uncertainty, offer him your calm presence. Your role is not to have the answer, but to create a safe, emotional space in which he can navigate his doubt. Jung discovered that this kind of unconditional acceptance in moments of vulnerability creates a soul-level bond that can last a lifetime. This understanding can transform your relationships, turning a moment of seeming weakness into one of deep connection. It enables you to respond in a way that strengthens intimacy instead of unintentionally undermining it. The sixth sentence that a man only says to the woman he loves reveals something profound about how the male unconscious works when in love. Here it is. "You made me think about." When a man spontaneously tells you that something made him think of you, he is revealing something extraordinary. You exist in his mind, even when you're not physically present. Jung discovered that this kind of mental presence of another person holds immense meaning in the male unconscious. Men tend to compartmentalize their lives, an inheritance from the hunter archetype, which required full focus on the immediate task. If a woman breaks through these compartments, if she spontaneously appears in his thoughts during everyday activities, it means she has fundamentally changed the structure of his awareness. This simple sentence is really a confession. You've become part of my inner thought landscape. I see the world through the lens of your presence. You're with me, even when you're not with me. And according to Jung, this is one of the deepest signs of true male love. What makes this sentence special is that it reveals the integration of the woman into the male unconscious. This isn't something a man can fake or consciously control. It's an organic process that only happens when a woman holds a central place in a man's heart. Jung understood that this psychic integration is the foundation of what we commonly call soulmates, two people who exist so deeply in each other's consciousness that they are inseparably connected on a soul level. Teresa, a 59-year-old woman, told me how this understanding changed her view of her husband. He was never particularly romantic or expressive, but he often said things like, "I saw this book today and thought of you," or "When I passed that restaurant, I remembered how much you liked it." She had always seen these as casual comments. But once she understood their true meaning, she recognized them as daily evidence of how deeply she lived in his mind and heart. When she finally mentioned it to him, he was surprised by her surprise. "Of course I think of you all the time. I thought you knew that." The nonverbal signs that accompany this sentence when it comes from true love are subtle but revealing. There's often a spark of energy or excitement in sharing the mental connection. The man may even seem surprised by the association himself. And most importantly, these sentences often come in unexpected moments, not out of obligation, but because the connection truly exists in his mind. To deepen the connection when you hear this, show genuine interest in the connection he made. Ask him to tell you more, not out of vanity, but from sincere curiosity about his inner world. Also share your own mental associations, moments when he crossed your mind. Jung observed that this mutual glimpse into each other's inner thoughts is one of the most intimate forms of connection. This understanding can completely change the way you perceive seemingly simple remarks and help you recognize the daily signs of deep love, even in men who aren't outwardly romantic in conventional ways. And now we come to the seventh and final sentence, a phrase a man says only to the woman he truly loves. This sentence is the culmination of all the previous ones, the most complete expression of how he has integrated you into his life, his mind, and his heart. Here it is. Do you think we should? When a man uses "we" to talk about future decisions, he's doing something profoundly significant in the male unconscious. Jung discovered that while women naturally think in relational terms, men usually think individually, a legacy of the lone warrior archetype. When a man begins to think and speak in "we" instead of "I", he is consciously shifting the boundaries of his identity to permanently include you. When a man says "we" instead of "I", it's not just a matter of grammar, it's a psychological transformation. He is building a shared identity, a bridge between his independent past and a joint future. In his unconscious, this shift signals that he no longer sees life as a solitary path, but one he wants to walk together with you. It's the moment when he stops planning just for himself and begins including you in everything he envisions for the future. It's essential to understand just how powerful these 7 sentences truly are, even if they don't sound like lines from a romantic movie. Jung teaches us that the emotional language of men is structured differently, quieter, deeper, but no less intense. Women who learn to recognize these signals, who learn to listen beyond the words, open a space in which a man can express himself, be vulnerable and truly love, without needing to perform, dominate, or hide behind a mask of strength. In the end, love is not always what is spoken out loud, but what is deeply felt in silence. If you recognize even one of these sentences in your relationship, know that you may already be living the love you've been searching for, just in a language no one ever taught you to understand. Learning this language, understanding it, and responding to it with gentleness and respect, according to Jung, is the key to a deep, lasting, and authentic connection between man and woman. Do you think he already forgot you? That he moved on? That his life continued? That what you two lived is now in the past? And that if he ever felt something for you, he no longer cares? Most women make the mistake of interpreting silence as indifference, distance as forgetfulness, and apparent calmness as moving on. But the emotional reality of men is much more complex than it seems on the surface. Not all pain makes noise, and not every absence is a sign of indifference. There are men who don't cry in front of you but do so when no one is watching, men who block you but keep searching for your name, men who say they're fine but every post, every silence, every overly happy gesture is their way of hiding what they can't fully process. Male pain often goes underground, hidden in behaviors that to the female eye seem contradictory or senseless, but are actually sophisticated forms of emotional self-protection. Because when a man suffers in silence, he doesn't scream it, post it, or write it to you. He shows it only if you know how to look closely. This is a fundamental difference between male and female pain. While women tend to express their suffering more directly or suppress it entirely, men develop a more subtle, coded emotional language. It's as if they speak in code, waiting for someone sensitive enough to decode their signals. In this video, I'll show you the 7 silent signs a man shows when it still hurts to lose you. And he won't say it, either because his pride won't let him, or because you're no longer there to hear it. But his body, his energy, his gestures are already telling the story. These signs are not manipulation or mind games. They are authentic forms of emotional communication that arise when the heart has something to say, but the mind can't find the words or courage to express it directly. Let's begin. Sign number 1. He talks about you with others, but not with you. When a man has truly closed a chapter, he doesn't need to talk about you to anyone, not even jokingly. He turns you into silence, into memory, into the past, but when he still hurts, when something inside is unresolved, he mentions you, but doesn't reach out. And that says everything. Maybe a mutual friend tells you. Maybe someone says when he asked about you, or did you see how he mentioned you indirectly in a story or post? And you think, well, why doesn't he just message me directly? Because he can't. Because something inside him won't let him take that step. It's as if his heart wants to speak, but his mind locks it away. The vulnerability of reaching out feels too dangerous, too exposing. So he finds indirect ways to keep you present in his emotional world. His feelings are looking for a way out, and since he can't tell you directly, he releases it with others. When a man still feels something for you, even if he denies it, he starts venting to others, to friends, acquaintances, even to people he didn't expect to see again. He talks about what was, what hurt, what you did or didn't do, and if he does that, it's because he's still feeling it. This is one of the most common mechanisms of male grief, processing out loud what he can't yet close inside. And you're still part of his conversation, even if he says he's over you. It's as if he needs external validation to understand his own feelings. And by talking about you with others, he's not just venting, he's trying to make sense of what he lived, to find answers to questions he doesn't even know how to ask. In every conversation about you, he's trying to reconstruct the story in a way that allows him to move on. Don't take it as a sign to run back to him. Take it as confirmation that he's still not at peace. And if you're already growing, you don't need to insist. Just observe. The pain that's expressed indirectly is often the heaviest. Sign number 2, he avoids you in person but doesn't stop watching you. There's a kind of silence that isn't indifference. It's self-protection. A subtle way in which a man, when he still feels something, chooses not to come close but also can't stop looking. And if you've been part of his life, if you've left an emotional imprint, you've likely seen this sign. He doesn't talk to you, doesn't reach out, doesn't initiate anything, but if you're in the same place, the same room, or pass by him, you feel his presence, you feel him watching, even if he pretends not to care. He avoids direct eye contact, looks away when he senses you could notice him. But when you're not looking, he's looking. He studies you, analyzes you, taking in details he won't say out loud, but that will stay in his mind for days. How you were dressed, what you said, who you were with, whether you seemed happy, whether you looked like you'd moved on. All of this. Even if he swears he feels nothing, why does he do it? Because facing you would mean feeling again, and feeling hurts. His pride may tell him it's pointless. His mind wants to protect him, but his emotions are still attached. So he chooses distance, not as punishment, but as a barrier to avoid falling apart. It's an emotional survival strategy. He keeps visual contact because he needs to know how you are, but avoids getting close because he knows that doing so could collapse the entire self-protective structure he's built. And this is where many women go wrong. When they see him avoid them, they think he no longer cares. But that's not always the case. Many times, silent pain needs distance in order not to break. And if you are grounded, calm, not provoking or forcing interaction, he feels it. And his internal emotion intensifies because true detachment doesn't provoke. It leaves an impact. So if you see him avoiding you, but you know he's watching, don't chase him, don't confront him, don't ignore him with contempt. Just remain present, calm, and respectful, because in your tranquility, he feels the echo of everything he still hasn't been able to let go of. Your emotional stability in those moments becomes a mirror that shows him both what he lost and what he might still be able to regain. When you don't react with drama, when you don't fall into the trap of chasing or completely ignoring him, you're showing a level of emotional maturity that his heart recognizes and values, even if his pride won't admit it. Now we continue with the third sign. He acts like he's better than ever, in an exaggerated way. You see him posting smiling pictures, motivational messages, phrases like, "Everything happens for a reason," "I'm my own priority," or "alone but happy." He goes out with friends, appears more active, dresses up more than before, responds to your stories with indifference, and everything seems to indicate that he has moved on, but something doesn't add up. There's a forced energy behind every post, a smile that feels more like a silent scream than a genuine emotion. Because when a man suffers in silence, he doesn't always retreat into sadness. He disguises it. He tries to convince himself that he's fine, and in doing so, he wants others to believe it too, especially you. Every post, every story, every subtle visual hint isn't for his followers, it's for you. And if you're watching, he wants to make sure you see just how happy he is without you. Why does he do it? Because it still hurts, because he still feels something, and because he can't say it to you directly, so he shows it in the loudest way possible. It's like he's silently screaming, "Look how great I'm doing without you." But every scream hides a quiet plea that you'll see him, notice his effort, recognize that he still exists in your world. Because someone who's truly at peace doesn't need to prove it. Someone who's healed doesn't need to put on a show. But someone who is still broken inside often needs to pretend nothing affects him anymore. And here's the most delicate part. It's not about him acting out of malice. It's that he's fighting with himself. Because pretending he's okay is the only way he knows to defend himself from a pain he hasn't yet figured out how to process. And if you understand this, you don't need to react. You don't need to fall into the game of, "I'm doing better too." Just observe, because if you are truly at peace, your silence will speak louder than any filtered Instagram story. True emotional strength doesn't need to compete or prove anything. When a woman understands that behind every "I'm better than ever" is a heart still healing, she can respond with compassion, not with a wounded ego. Now, my dear friend, let's move on to the next sign. Sign number 4. He contradicts himself, overreacts, or gets angry for no clear reason. A man who is truly at peace responds with clarity, coherence, and calm. But when a man is hurting inside and doesn't know how to express it, his emotions begin to leak out in the most uncontrolled ways. He blocks you, then unblocks you, talks to you, then regrets it, ignores you for days, then replies coldly or with sarcasm. He posts indirect messages, unfollows you, and later follows you again. And you're left wondering, what does he want? Why is he doing this? The truth is simple. He wants not to feel, but he can't help it. He wants you not to matter, but craves your attention. He wants you to think he's fine, but every unresolved emotion eventually bubbles to the surface. And it's an internal war, the rational part saying, "Let her go," versus the emotional part whispering, "But you still need her." And in the middle of that battle, you become the battlefield where all his contradictory emotions clash. This is what many women misinterpret as instability, but it's not a mental imbalance, it's unprocessed emotional grief. He feels vulnerable, and since he can't admit it hurts, he reacts in ways that seem exaggerated, disproportionate, or contradictory. And you become the target of that emotional storm. Not because you deserve it, but because you still occupy space inside him. So then, what should you do? Don't play the same game. Don't respond with sarcasm. Don't add fuel to the emotional fire. Just interpret what's really happening. He's suffering, but he doesn't know how to tell you without falling apart. And if you're centered, if you understand that those reactions are not attacks but expressions of unprocessed pain, then you don't need to respond. Just hold your presence from a distance. Because when a woman doesn't get dragged into drama and responds with emotional clarity, she becomes that point of calm he, deep down, still longs for. In these moments, your ability to remain composed isn't coldness, it's emotional wisdom. It's understanding that behind every contradiction is a man battling himself. And what he needs most is not for you to feed the chaos, but to offer a space of stability from which he can find his own peace. Fifth sign, he starts posting content designed for you to see. He doesn't talk to you, doesn't respond, claims he's over you, might have even blocked you somewhere, but not everywhere. And suddenly, he starts posting more stories, photos where he looks better than ever, songs that feel like indirect messages, quotes that reflect things you both lived, posts that only someone like you could emotionally interpret. And you ask yourself, is this for me or am I imagining things? You're not imagining it. When a man suffers silently for you but can't or doesn't want to talk to you, social media becomes his emotional outlet. That's where he sends everything he can't say, and he does it with the perfect excuse. It's not for you, even though both of you know it is, because if he didn't want you to see it, he simply wouldn't show it. But he does, and you're there, watching, feeling, and probably he's also watching to see if you react, even if you don't hit like. Why does he do it? Because he needs to feel that he still stirs something in you, that he still has an impact, that his presence is still alive in your mind. And at the same time, he preserves his pride because technically he didn't message you. It's a passive emotional dance, but filled with intention. And what should you do? Don't react on impulse. Don't confront him with, was that for me? Don't fall into the trap of confirming his effect. Just observe. And if you truly want to reconnect, do it from your center, not from the need to validate what you saw. Because if he still needs to show you that he's better, that he looks amazing, that his life is full, it's because on some internal level he's still hoping you're watching. It's a fascinating emotional paradox. The more he tries to show he doesn't need you, the more he confirms that there's still a part of him seeking your validation, your recognition, your presence in his world, even if only from afar. Now I'll tell you the sixth sign. He blocks you, unblocks you, disappears, and reappears. One day you might open your chat and find it gone. You're blocked. No explanation, no argument beforehand. And days later, without saying a word, the block disappears. There's no message, no excuses, but now you can see him again. Maybe he even reacts to something you posted as if nothing happened. Or maybe he just quietly makes himself visible again, and you think, what was that? Why is he doing this? The answer isn't in the action, but in the pain behind it. When a man suffers silently and can't manage it calmly, his need for emotional control leads him to cut off the channel with you. Blocking you is his way of protecting himself, of feeling strong, of setting boundaries. But the problem is, his feelings are still alive. And when the intensity fades, when anger turns into longing, when absence feels too real, he comes back. Not necessarily with a message, not necessarily speaking, but just unblocking you is a message in itself. I still don't know if I want you here, but I also don't want you completely gone. And that emotional ambivalence is one of the deepest signs of silent suffering, because someone who has truly healed doesn't need to cut and restore the connection every week, but someone who's still hurting doesn't know whether to let go or pull you closer. So what should you do? Don't react with drama. Don't ask, why did you block me? Don't play the same game of returning the gesture. Just interpret, He is emotionally disorganized, and you, if you're centered, don't need to enter that back and forth. Stay grounded, calm, present from your place. Because if you're the only one who doesn't come and go, he will feel it. And in the middle of his chaos, you'll represent the stability his heart still longs for, even if his mind won't admit it. Your emotional consistency in the midst of his inner storm becomes a lighthouse. While he battles his contradictory emotions, you become that steady reference point, reminding him what peace feels like. And even if he won't say it, that stability you hold is something a part of him still longs to get back. We're nearing the end. Now I'll tell you the seventh and final sign for today. He doesn't reach out, but he doesn't let anyone else take your place.
He doesn't write, doesn't call, doesn't beg. And you might think he's forgotten you, that he's already with someone else, that his life has moved on. But silently, he's unable to connect with anyone. It's not that he lacks options. It's not that no one is interested. It's that no one triggers in him what you once did. And that frustrates him. Because he wants to move forward, he wants to feel free, he wants to experience something new. But with every attempt, he compares, he remembers, he relives.
He goes out with someone but feels empty. He gets messages but doesn't reply with the same excitement. He receives attention but doesn't feel moved. Because deep down, there's a space you once occupied that he hasn't been able to replace. And the most striking part is, you don't see any of this because he doesn't say it. He doesn't post about it. He doesn't express it. He just lives it. In every night where he can't find someone to truly connect with. In every date that ends up being a shadow of what he had with you. In every time he smiles without really feeling it. When a man won't let anyone else in, even while claiming he's moved on, it's because you're still inside. And his silence, his distance, his apparent coldness, they're not signs of forgetting. They're signs of an internal struggle, a struggle you don't see, but one he lives through every day without anyone to hear him. It's the quietest and most painful battle, wanting to move on, but not being able to. Wanting to feel something for someone new, but constantly comparing. Wanting to open his heart, but finding it still occupied by your memory. And the hardest part is, no one understands why he just can't move on. Not even him.
Now you know. Just because he doesn't text you, doesn't cry for you, doesn't say it, doesn't mean he doesn't feel. There's a type of man who suffers in silence, not because he wants to, but because he doesn't know how to do it any other way.
And his pain doesn't show in tears. It shows in contradictions, in sudden blockings, in stories that feel like indirect messages, in glances that hide, in absences that weigh more than any goodbye. Don't be fooled. Don't think silence means forgetting. Sometimes, silence is the loudest scream of someone who doesn't know how to let you go. If this video helped you understand things you once ignored, if it helped you read what was never said with words, subscribe. This channel isn't just about love, it's about understanding the deep emotional language no one ever taught us to decode. Turn on the notification bell, share this video with someone who still believes he's over her, when in truth, he's still feeling her more than he dares to admit. And remember this, a man may stop talking to you, but if he hasn't stopped feeling you, sooner or later, you'll notice.